joins. So Friday night we had Bristol Sale. Sale putting down a marker against Bristol. Bristol without Luatua, Randrandra, Sheedy, Randall, a lot of their core players, but just didn't really get firing. Sale look with Alex Sanderson anyway, defensively very minded, which is what he was good at Sale. I think, and we'll talk a lot about England later on, but he's come out and said Eddie Jones needs to start picking mile and yard. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, he's scoring tries, which is more than Watson and May are doing. So, I mean, that's what he's going from. But Sale look pretty good. They've got just some big ball carriers, got a good line out. Sam James and Luke James are good. Sale are going to be in the top two, probably.
Yeah, very possibly. They've got the deepest squad in the league. They've got a good coach. It's not like they were in terrible form when Diamond left, so it's not like they need to be a bit better. Sort of accumulation of tries, effectively. But yeah, looking good.
Yeah, it was not. As I say, I think it was Luke James scored the main sort of the decisive blow towards the end of the game. It was a nice finish in the end. I can't remember too much from it, to be honest. It was Johan Lloyd not got exposed, I think it's the wrong word, but again, he's still very young. There's a lot of people going, "Oh, get him in the Welsh team, get him in the Welsh team." He's still 2 years away, I think, from being an established international anyway. And I think Callum Sheedy's better than him at the moment anyway. But again, good exposure, but again, he lacked a little bit of, I think, maybe O'Connor at 12 might have been a bit better than O'Connor at 13 with Lowe and Lloyd in there. Because Pietau's doing one thing and one thing only, and that's crashing. But again, it's a second-rate Bristol team. Sale did what they needed to do. Good win for Sale. Saturday was where we had most of the games. Northampton put in a decent first half against Wasps, and Wasps decided they had to play some rugby in the second half and brought it back to something semi-respectable. Boyd wasn't very happy with Northampton in the second half, but from what I looked at it, they didn't particularly look that great in the second half. Sean Arundel scored again for them. Trying to think back from the highlight. I've only seen the highlights of those. Nairavoro got a try. Matavesi got a try from a line out.
Yeah, 22-0 at half-time, and then to Saints, and then 2 yellow cards. Well, Wasps had 2 yellow cards in the first half.
Yeah.
Conceded 22 points, and then Saints had 2 in the second half, managed to concede only 17, which I suppose might be impressive. I haven't watched the highlights of that, so I don't know.
I was going to say, just from a Wasps point of view, I think it's really difficult to see, and we'll talk about teams in a moment. But like their Six Nations is going to have a significant impact on them. I think they're missing some big names in there. Like a dog who's been on fire, Launchbury's injured, and we talked about those before. So we don't need to remake the same points, but they've got. I'm trying to think they've got next week actually. They're playing Worcester on Sunday, so you expect them to beat Worcester because Worcester at the moment are really struggling. So they might come back to form there, but I think the Six Nations is going to have an impact on them. They will bounce back naturally with those players in there, but yeah, not 2 weeks on a row, league losses.
They also have a lot of players out injured.
Yeah,
they've got certainly a full starting 15 that's all effectively as good as the one that played this weekend, plus a couple of extras who were unavailable this weekend, both through England and injury. So there's room to improve.
Yeah, as I say, Northampton, I wouldn't read too much into Northampton as well, being high as they are. Not saying they're playing bad. They've won 2 games in a row, which is fine. They've beaten a very dejected Gloucester team and a weakened Wasps team, so I wouldn't get too carried away. But they are getting better. They were a lot better than they were, I'd say, about 6 months ago. So I'd say they're definitely destined for a top 8 finish. Bath have lost again, though. And they've lost comfortably at home to Quinns. Quinns again looking good. Don Brandt scored a nice try. Danny Kerr got another one. Matavesi in the build-up to that got yellow carded, which he owned up to. Good decision from Max Crosswell Keys. Don Morris also scored, and then you've got, in response, Tom Dunn scored a pushover and de Glanville got one back. But again, still with this Bath team, I say it again, like you got Cockanasaga, Spencer. Yeah, it's still probably the weaker Bath lineup than I've seen. But again, they're just are playing with a team that there's talk of Stuart Hooper's lost the dressing room. Don't know. They looked a bit abjected. They didn't, from the highlights you got, Quinn's looked comfortable. Quinn's are on good form. Smith's kicking goals, controlling the ship.
Yeah, back
Quinn's
to some
good at the moment.
really lovely fluid Quinn's tries, offloads, and passes to pass out of the tackle. The Harlequins are all right.
Top
The
at the moment.
structural stuff is still weird. The circumstances of Gustard's leaving, etc. But on the pitch, they're still more than capable, which is good.
Leicester got back to winning ways. They beat Worcester 41-24. A lot of driving and mauls there. Just Worcester can't defend a driving maul from for their life at the moment. Montoya got 2 tries from being on the back of a maul. Visa got 2 as well, and Young's got another one off the maul. Didn't look particularly pretty from that standpoint as Joe Trickey enters the room. He's turned up at the great time. We're about to talk about Gloucester and Irish after this, so strap yourself in. Yeah, Worcester are going to struggle. I think Worcester are going to be in that bottom 3 with Gloucester and Bath at the moment. Not particularly pretty reading for Worcester, but if they can defend a wall, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But good for Montoya as well. That's a great pickup for Leicester. Really good. Now to bring on to my statement about that at the start of the pod. Obviously, Joe's not seen this, so it'll be interesting to see his reaction. London Irish are going to be in the top 4 this year. And I'm going to explain my rationale. Unfortunately, we have lost Sokobi Kepu today for personal reasons, and on one side, this is going to sound harsh in a moment, but on personal side, he's been great for Irish to an extent, and I really hope whatever his personal reasons are, and hope his family is okay. In another way, I'm quite pleased he's off our books because he played 30 minutes on the weekend, and he went off again. I haven't seen him go beyond 40 minutes. He came back on and he makes another difference. Absolutely destroyed the Gloucester scrum. Him and Will McGoldrick-Clark. If you want an England prop at the moment, McGoldrick-Clark is going to be on the radar in the next.